I mean, people spend tens of thousands of dollars for one day. And my goal is to be a good steward over the finances that God has given me and her. So it just made sense to try to create something that would attract brands to come sponsor the wedding.
First, I would think about her when I masturbated. And then at that point, I could no longer even get erect thinking about her. And I had to recall memories of women in the past where sex was more free, where it wasn't feeling like it was so restricted. And so what happened, this is the trick of the enemy, is that those private thoughts that I started having, thinking about, it was this one particular one that I would fantasize about or recall the memories that that we had in the past. Then lo and behold, I run into that individual at a fashion show. And then she walks up to me, and that day I had masturbated thinking about her. And then I run into her. She's like, hey, and I'm like, I'm like, I felt like my private thoughts done jumped out in front of me in 3D. And so I said, oh, she said, hey, she says, so how's married life? I said, oh, everything's great. And she was like, hey, we need to catch up. And I was like, should I get her new number? I'll just go and get her new number. It'll be a little harmless. I go to her house a couple of weeks after that. We're sitting there talking, start reminiscing. You remember that little futon over there? Remember what we did on the little futon? Oh, y'all remember that? Yeah, that was the. Then she starts trying to initiate sex in that moment. I'm like, no, I'm married. I know I'm married. Because again, I was that guy that would always reprimand my homeboy saying, why would you get married if you're going to cheat? And here it is, my first year of marriage, with a temptation to cheat, where I didn't even think that was even likely for me. And so I get out that situation, but now that seed has been planted. Gosh, I remember when, and I'm still masturbating, thinking about her. In that moment, I ended up going back to her house one day, and then that's when I actually had sex with her. I felt like trash. Like, okay, I'm never going to do that again, but I couldn't stop.
I want to just talk about this idea of monetizing something so intimate and personal, like a marriage, okay? Like a wedding, if you will. And when he did the wife reveal, which was recently did this wife reveal, that was when I was like, okay, this is getting weird. Because we all know, and we all have heard of gender reveals as far as like, having a baby. But the wife reveal just gave, okay, you kind of doing too much. And this is really starting to look a little scandalous, little scammy, just like, yeah, you're monetizing, and now it's obvious that you're monetizing your life. And like, I get it, it's part of your brand, but this is a marriage, right? This is not anything to play with. And I think part of it, knowing that the whole point of Dear Future Wifey, the podcast, was with the hope that Laterris would eventually meet his wife. And what I heard is that he was starting to get a lot of pressure after doing the podcast for maybe like 3 years. He was getting some pressure around the fact that he still hadn't met a woman, he was not engaged, and he hadn't gotten married. So that was the topic of the conversation. It's like, well, how is it that you're still saying Dear Future Wifey and you have no wifey? So when the thing I was thinking when I saw that the wedding was going to be live streamed on the internet, since then, there's been a lot of things coming out, a lot of conversations being had about him and her and the marriage and the wedding and all that. And it really does look like this is a major attention-seeking situation, and that he is trying to seek a lot of attention, all disguised under the guise of God told me to do it. And we have talked about this before. We have talked about this before with regard to a woman I featured. I think her name is Nora Jones. She's also a pastor who got a BBL. And she was saying that she thought she heard God's voice telling her to do it. So we know that people often hear God's voice, or they say they hear God's voice, and they say that God is telling them to do things. And the question is, Did God really tell you to do that? Now, what I'm not going to do is raise questions around whether or not Laterris was supposed to marry the young lady named Ashley Woods. I'm not going to, even go there. If God told him to marry Ashley Woods, it is what it is. But what I am calling to question in this video is, did God tell you to monetize your relationship, to monetize your wedding, and to some degree, as we will probably see in subsequent months and years, to monetize your marriage? Did God tell you to do that? And why I'm bringing this up, and you could say, Wineka, we know you got married. We saw pictures, we saw videos of you and your husband getting married. And to that, I'll say, absolutely. There are images out there on my Instagram page, as well as YouTube, of my wedding. And I will say that I absolutely did not monetize, because most people who are watching my channel are definitely not watching with the interest of seeing me in my personal life. Do some people probably care about my personal life? Yes. Is my personalized life monetized? No. The things that I've made money for on YouTube have everything to do with my commentary about other people. Okay. And I like to keep it that way. So I believe that there should be a separation between content creator, podcaster, and personal life. And I think it could get very messy when said content creator, said podcaster, their brand is so intertwined with their personal life, to the point where Laterris himself talked about Essence, or I don't know if he said that Essence Magazine. Either Essence Magazine did, or he wanted Essence Magazine to sponsor his wedding. Okay. So when you start talking about your wedding being sponsored, okay, now you have to live stream your wedding for, thousands of people, all of your subscribers and followers. It just feels like, what is sacred? And I'm sure as a couple, they have things that they don't share with the world. So I'm not saying that I'm not saying everything is being shared. I'm saying a lot of things are being shared. And this became even more concerning as I watched, some videos where he was divulging things about him masturbating.
Well, for us, because we had a Christian relationship, she never wanted to have sex prior to marriage. And even though we had our slip ups and we would have sex, it was never something that was habitual. It was never something that became the norm. And so even in that dating process, I cheated on her with the same woman back then, because the girl told my girlfriend, who later became my wife, she told her that. She told her that because she found out I had messed with this other girl, got mad about it, and then told my girlfriend at the time. That's pretty much your boyfriend cheating on both of us kind of conversation.
And, obviously we all know that he cheated on his ex-wife, but like even he shot his shot at Essence Atkins, the actress.
What were you gonna say? Yes, I'm listening.
I'm interested in you, Essence.
Okay.
I really am. Like you say a lot of stuff that resonates with my spirit. And so last night I went home and I just laid in the bed and I was just thinking about, what did I just experience? And I said, I don't want to be moved by emotions. And so this morning I was in the shower and I always say, shake the tree and see what kind of fruit falls out, to just, to truly try to pursue you. That's the reason why I was moved to go pick you up this morning, because I said, I want to say this to you face to face. But what I would like is the opportunity just for you to see me outside of the scope of just a platonic friend.
I knew this was going to happen.
Why you say that?
I just did. I knew this was going to happen because I have felt that you were interested in me for a very long time. And the hard part for me is that I don't feel the same way. And I don't know why I don't feel the same way, but I see you as a friend. I see you as somebody that I love and respect in a very platonic way.
And it's like, there's so much that's made public. Where do you draw the line? And even though you could say, well, it's just a wedding, you know, it's clearly a beautiful wedding. There's, you know, celebrities do it all the time. Reality stars do it. Reality stars get entire TV series where they, you know, show the moments leading up to the wedding and then the wedding itself. I get it. But I think for me, the big issue is not so much, did he marry the right person? Is he supposed to be revealing all of this to us in the way that he's revealing it? Should he be making money off of some of these things? And like, because what happens, for those of you who, you know, are not in the content creation space, once you open up the floodgates to, you know, showcase various aspects of your private life, people want more of that. Okay? You closing the door on those private things is going to cause people to unfollow. So my prediction is that Laterras is going to have to continue to divulge very intimate details of his private life, his relationship, his marriage, and probably go as far as he can with that divulging. And if we look back to, for example, Megan Good and Devon Franklin, you know, they had their whole brand and their book and everything they were doing. You know, we unfortunately see how things worked out, but it's like, we just need to be careful about looking at this type of thing and thinking it is solely innocent, and thinking that it's a fairy tale, and that, like, you know, she finally met her Prince Charming. Because as someone who has a small channel, me, and as many of you know, I do this part-time. YouTube is my side hustle or side business, if you will. I can tell you that the internet, the podcasting space, the content creation space can be very salacious and very demonic, if you will. And it can be a lot of things that are not of God. And so it's a tricky thing to try to build a marriage off of a brand that, you know, essentially, like, the brand has to make money, the business has to make money, but the marriage is so intertwined in that. And so what you get is a lot of saying things and doing things, and a lot of it is just so performative. That is how this feels to me. And again, I don't know them. You know, they may have the best relationship ever, but all I'm saying is, from the outside looking in, it looks performative, and it looks like it has to be performative, because when you start monetizing your marriage in that way and putting so much out there, you guys become the brand together. And although that may sound good, the problem is that it creates an unnecessary pressure. And, you know, again, I think a lot of what I saw in the last few days with Laterras, it seems to be a lot of attention seeking. He seems like he really likes attention, or he loves attention. And that mixed with him, again, trying to monetize all these different things, also mixed with something as sacred as marriage. And for those of you who are married, you know that being married is hard enough when it is just you two. When you have no one else in your business, it is hard enough. Okay? So imagine, you know, having thousands of people giving you their opinions, and again, live streaming your wedding. Everybody knows your vows. Everybody, you know, just is all up in your business. And you can say, well, that's, you know, the price of being a famous podcaster. But I just think that we need to be very careful about glamorizing, especially a relationship and or marriage where it is very clear that when your relationship, your marriage, the root of that is tied to brand deals, tied to likes and views, you're, tied to live streaming, tied to comments. That is what I see. The performative nature of it all, the attention seeking of it all, it really does seem to dilute the marriage itself. And this is just my opinion. So I just wanted to pop in with this message. Again, I was not going to make this video because I normally do not talk about men on this channel. This channel, my slogan is making the invisible visible, about Black women. But I do feel like this is something that a lot of people are interested in, and I wanted to speak on it from a different perspective. And so, yeah, like, share, and subscribe. Hope you like my new look with my new glasses. If you know, you know. I'm going to take them off now. Check out my Amazon storefront. The link for that is in the description. It is not too late to purchase products and items for yourself and or for your loved ones for the holidays. My link is an affiliate link. If you purchase something, I will get a small commission. I am also a YouTube coach. My business is Curated Legacy LLC. So if you want to get started and grow on YouTube, if you want to learn how to monetize your YouTube channel, not your marriage, you could go into the description box and click the link that you see to go to my website, check out my services and what I have to offer. You can follow me on Instagram, and also consider becoming a Black and Invisible channel member. If you choose to become a channel member, it does come with perks and benefits, and most importantly, exclusive content by yours truly. I am your host, Neka, and I am here to make the invisible visible about Black women, except for today we did talk about a Black man. I am here to make the invisible visible about Black women. I highlight the things that Black women typically would not tell you. And as always, stay tuned for more videos.